Okay, a lot of weird things happen to me all the time, but this one has got to be up there. So, what happened was last week, I went out with two people in my car. We drove to a parking lot. I wasn't driving, I was sitting on the passenger side, and then I had another friend at the back and another person in the driver's side driving the car. So, the person driving the car decided to obviously find the closest spot to this food shop that we wanted to go to. So the car's parked. Okay, we see the first spot available closest to the food place. We drive in, park the car. There's two other cars in between that spot because, again, it's the only spot that we see open closest to the food place. And everything's normal. Park the car. I, on the passenger side, open up my door and I look down and I see an iWatch, Apple iWatch, except it's not like mine, not with a white band. It has a black band with like all these like crystals. I don't know if they were like Swarovski crystals or what type of crystals, but it was like a fancy glammed up little Apple iWatch and it was completely crushed. So like literally when I looked down and I saw it, it was already just crushed into tiny little pieces. The screen that is, and the back and the front are both just completely cracked. And I was like, okay, I don't know if we just crushed it or if it was already crushed. But as I pulled it up, I realized that this clasp that you see over here, you know how I can undo it and put it together, there's no clasp. So it looked like it was just like already broken, like the pieces were cut. Because even if you ran over an iWatch, you should still be able to see the clasp spot, right? Unless like somehow it magically bounced off and like went 70 yards away. But either way, the clasp wasn't there. So it kind of made me think like maybe the watch was already broken and then we like crushed it with our car by accident when we like drove over it, obviously not seeing. Or maybe it was crushed by a previous car and then somebody just tossed it because it was just a broken watch. Either way, I'm like, oh, it sucks. It's broken. Like, obviously not going to be able to return it to anybody or anything like that. So I just threw it to the side where it couldn't be crushed anymore. Like the likeliness of someone crushing it again would be low because I put it like more towards the front end of a car. So like if another car drove by or someone was looking for it, it'd be easier to find because it wouldn't just, be on the side of my passenger seat. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. We thought that that was weird. Me and the two other people, the three of us, we end up going to get food. And then about like an hour later, we get back into the car and not thinking anything of it. We drive out. Again, me sitting in the passenger spot. I look back, just like looking back at the spot, like to look at the watch really, to be like, huh, okay, that was like super weird. But as I look back, I see an iPhone. Just an iPhone at the that was sitting basically on the bottom of our car because we just drove out, right? We're backing out and I saw an iPhone. So obviously I opened the door. I'm like, stop the car. I open the door and I go and grab the phone. I look at it and it's perfect. It's not crushed. It looks like it was an iPhone 14. It definitely was not mine. It's not like the iPhone 14 Plus Pro. It's not huge. It's a smaller version. But it was definitely super new. It had no case on it, which is fine because a lot of people just buy insurance. They don't have a case on it, like whatever. That's not the thing that weirded me out. I open up the phone, so I unlock it and I look at the lock screen to see if like maybe somebody sent a message out and, because sometimes if you lose your phone, you might, message and be like, hey, like please return to this number, please call if you find the phone. There were no messages on the phone. I didn't notice this, but my friend told me, one of the people I was with told me after, that there's no signal. Like there was no signal on the phone, so there wouldn't have been any messages. But what weirded me out was that when I looked at the phone, I unlocked it, it was an image. The lock screen image is of a house. And it wasn't just a house. It was someone who took an image sitting in the passenger spot of their rearview mirror and of a house. And I just thought that's so creepy. Like I couldn't see the person's face or anything, but you could tell that it was someone taking a picture of the house. And I'm just like, nobody does that. Who does that? I don't know a single person. I've never seen a single person use an image of just like a home for their wallpaper. And it's like, it would make you think like, okay, maybe they were taking it so that if someone finds their phone, they could return it. But then like, that's also super creepy. It's just like, it didn't add up to me. And obviously with a phone like that, with no signal or with no messages, I'm not going to be able to return it to anyone, right? Even if I wanted to. And then it just creeped me out that it was an image of a house. I'm like, that's not something I would be down to try to even return to the house. Like, I could do like geolocator and try to find it on Google Images, but I'm like, me and the two people I was with were like, hey, this is just super weird. But I was like extremely weirded out by it. Let me know down in the comment section below, like, what you thought about all of this. And like, would you have tried to like geolocate? Would you have tried to return it with the image, like, of all that you have? I clearly did not want to hold on to it because it was most likely, or could have been tracked, and I was weirded out like maybe I was being watched in the parking lot, to see like where I would go, where I live, or like where any of my friends lived. And I was actually with a kid who was under 18, so that to me was really, really weird. I'm like, I don't know if we're being attacked or watched, or like, what if something bad is going to happen to one of us? Who knows what this could have been? So just like the whole situation just weirded me out so much that I'm like, hey, there's no way I would try and like be a detective and try to figure out where that house is and even try to return it, because I don't want to be holding on to it and then being tracked the whole time. I honestly was just so creeped out by it. I didn't even know if maybe when I found the watch and I put it aside and I went in and ate with the two other people, that maybe the phone was slipped underneath our car afterwards, or was it there the whole time and we just didn't see it? Because driving up, we obviously didn't see the watch or the phone when we drove up and parked in that only parking spot close to the food spot. So anyways, it's just so weird. But I ended up taking the phone, recording it as my friends and I went to return it to a lost and found place near that parking spot. So we're like, explain the situation to an attendant, and we're like, hey, we found this underneath our car. There was also a watch there, but it's crushed and it's just over there. We're not bringing that to you. We're like, bringing you this phone because obviously it's in perfect condition. And we said, if someone obviously goes and looks for it, this is the lost and found place, so you return it. And they're like, yeah, everything's fine. Like, we're obviously going to return it once we make sure that it actually belongs to that person. But to be honest, I don't really trust lost and found. If I had opened up the phone and I saw that it was a picture of someone's face, which is normal, I see people using their like spouse's pictures or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, or friends. Sometimes people have that as their background, which is easier for me to like track, and it would wear me out less. But if I had seen that, it was like an image of a girl or a guy or a couple or whatever, I would have been able to try at least to find them on like LinkedIn, any type of social media, and then I wouldn't be so weirded out to try and return it. Again, I don't feel comfortable. I feel like having a phone that clearly could have GPS tracked back to anywhere that I live at or any of my friends' homes. So that's just how I feel about it. But let me know if you thought that was weird. And one of the people I was with thought that, okay, my first thought was that someone was just really drunk, maybe the night before, and then just like dropped all their stuff. My second thought was that maybe someone was pulling a prank on someone, or someone didn't like someone, so then they ended up taking their iWatch and their phone and just hiding it under cars. And then so as the cars are driving in and out of the parking lot, nobody really noticed it. But then it's weird because if they want to like do that to someone, they could have just thrown their phones out or their watch. Why leave it at a parking lot? Also strange. So one of my friends thinks that it's something else, and that maybe they took a picture of their home, because usually 4 digits, which is the lock code, you would have been able to find the home on Google. Then you take that code and then you unlock the phone, and then maybe we would see something that they want us to see. Maybe it would be disturbing, maybe it would be like a secret unlocked, something embarrassing or something funny or whatever it may be, but that this is like a game that somebody was trying to play. I don't know what it is. I seriously hope it's not some crazy game. I don't want to play with that. I'm glad that I just ended up giving it away to Lost and Found, even though I'm not even sure if they're going to return it or sell it for parts or whatever it is. Let's hope that this was just all an accident. But let me know what you guys thought about all of this. This is definitely one of the weirdest things I have ever had occur to me. and hope it's a last.